I was recently invited to be a guest speaker to an audience of recently laid off employees from several companies. And I've spoken to this organization's group before. It's like a third-party company that supports recently riffed employees from major corporations. And they're local to the state of Florida. And I actually participated with this company, used it as a customer, if you will, when I was laid off. And it's a good company. Once a month, they invite a guest speaker in to talk on a topic. Now, they've already invited me once to talk about marketing for solopreneurs, but this particular one, they wanted me to come in and share my journey and offer some tips on things to focus on when you're considering being an entrepreneur or starting your one-person business. So I was like, absolutely, I'm happy to talk to folks. You know me, give me a microphone and I'm good, right? So anyway, I went ahead and I started thinking about this, and I was trying to get a little better organized, and I came up with 7 things to think about when you're at that position of deciding whether or not solopreneurship is right for you, or when you're just starting. And since this season's all about starting, I thought this would be perfect for an episode. So here we are. Now, what I want to point out is you're probably like, well, I'm already in my business, or, oh, well, I'm in my first year, so I don't need to know all that stuff because I probably already did it. And you may have. However, the way I organize these, and they're very basic, I'm going to go over each of the 7 items. You can actually benefit from each one at different timestamps or milestones in your business, whether you're considering starting and you're just kind of exploring ideas, whether you're in your first year, which is always the toughest, that when you first get started, let me tell you, been there, done that, or you're in your 10th year and you've been doing it for a while. It's a great way to kind of revisit and come home again and see if things have evolved. Because as a solopreneur, I know in my business, I've gone through multiple evolutions. And this is a great little checklist for you to use to kind of see where you're at, see how you want to shift things, see what's working, what's not working. And it's a great little kind of like, inspiring checklist that you can go through and apply it to wherever you are in your business. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. Okay, so when I go over this, I want you to be thinking about wherever you are in your business, whether you haven't started it, whether you are in your first year or 5th or 10th, doesn't matter. Each one of these you can extract value. And I'll try to use some examples from my own experience of where each item of the 7 items will come into play. So we're going to base it on the audience that I'm going to be speaking to in this talk, which is folks that were recently let go and now they're facing the decision, okay, do I find another job or do I start my own business? Do I open up a franchise? Do I partner with somebody? What is it? So this is a great checklist for you to kind of work through. And the first and foremost, most important thing, which is step 1 or checkbox 1, finances. Finances have got to be sorted out. You have to get control of your finances before you do anything. Now, if you're in business, if you're doing things, that's when you go back and revisit, where can I create more margin? Am I working the most efficiently as possible? Is there a way to create a new product to bring new revenue in? So you can reassess all your finances and how they're impacting your own personal life as well as your business when you do this. I've had clients come to me after a riff, after they've been laid off, and they just want to keep doing what they did in the corporate world, but they can't find a job. So they're like, well, listen, I'll just be a consultant. I work with a lot of consultants and coaches. And they're like, I just want to keep doing this. But they're kind of in this panic mode because they didn't get a severance package. They only have so much in their savings, and so they're stressed out. Or if it's somebody in their first year or even their 10th year and they kind of plateau as far as the pipeline or the pipeline, like my pipeline goes up and down because my business at its maturity now is mostly referral. If you've been following me, you know I'm not a big marketer, self-promotion person. So to my own detriment, which is why my pipeline is kind of wonky, but I'm okay with that. Like I design my business that way. Now, that being said, when you look at finances and you need to come back and revisit that if you've been in business for a while, those are really important things. But let me tell you what, if you don't have a good grasp of where your finances are, you're going to constantly be stressed. You're going to be making decisions based on money. You're going to carry a feeling of desperation, of panic in a way where it's like, oh my God, I got to find work. I got to find work. Now, let's hope you're not in that situation. Let's hope you're in a much better situation where you have savings. You're able to invest in yourself, in your business if you want to start your business or level up your business. So I can't stress finances enough. And sometimes you have to take risks financially. Like when I had the interview with Dale Roberts, which I've recorded and should come right after this one, he talks about how in his first 2 years or year and a half until he finally figured it out, they were maxing out credit cards. They were throwing everything at it to get his business started. And it was a real stressor for them. They were working, him and his wife were working really hard to make it work. So try to avoid any kind of financial pressure that's going to sway a decision or make you go in a direction that you don't really want to go. Okay. And that means if you need to get a part-time job to help shore it up, if you need to take a job temporarily and then plan it better, whatever you need to do to make that so it's not a pressure thing and you're in control and you have full sight of everything going on with finances. Okay, so that's number one, most important. The second one is passion. You probably didn't think I was going to talk about passion, but passion is something you constantly have to be checking into. When I started my business, I was laid off, surprisingly. It was a year after my husband passed away, and I was a mess. I didn't value myself. I charged next to nothing. I was kind of giving away work. I was over delivering and undercharging. And it took me many years in order for me to understand that I was really bringing some good value and to organize my business. And that's not unusual to have that kind of momentum. But you see, why I did what I did from the standpoint of the vocation of being creative, of designing websites, of helping people with their strategy, their branding, their copy, all of those things. That's what I did in corporate. And it's because I loved it. I had a true passion for communications, for customer experience, and for creating brands and websites that communicated well, that were professional. I mean, all those things I just love, still to this day, absolutely love. So that was feeding my passion, but I didn't really know the full breadth of not only what I was really talented at, but also what I was truly passionate about. And over the years, over the 20 years I've been in business, I have been able to figure that out. And now I know exactly what's going to light me up, what's going to keep me going. Because let me tell you what, about three or so years ago, I kind of hit a plateau. So I was like in year 17 or whatever, hit a plateau, and it wasn't a plateau. I mean, I was probably making more money and the business was doing well as far as clients and things like that than ever. Like I had reached my high point, but I was feeling not like, okay, this is starting to look and feel like a job. And I didn't like that. That had a ick factor. Even though I was still doing what I was passionate about, there was something about it that just kind of plateaued and kind of made me feel, And I decided to work for one of my clients for a couple of years until I got laid off again. And that period of 18 months of working back in corporate made me realize, oh my God, I remember what I was passionate about. And so I was able to realign, recalibrate, get excited about my work all over again. So once I came out of that corporate role for one of my clients, that I got right back to Better 3 and I just started ramping things up and I got some amazing new clients and just the whole thing just kind of fell right there because I re-engaged my passion. So passion is number 2 because you need to identify not only what you want to do, but what you love to do, because that will sustain you throughout your solopreneur career. And you'll find lots of ways to expand, shift, change, grow. And a lot of it will come from your clients and your customers that you work with. They will challenge you. They will ask for things that you're like, I'm not sure I can do that. But you try it and it's like, oh my God, I got to add this to my repertoire. So passion is so important. So make sure that that's something that you revisit on a regular basis. The third thing is mindset. Mindset is crazy important. You absolutely must have a growth mindset, which means you're open to things. You're open to change. When you have your own solopreneur business, you are in charge. You have 100% control, 100% freedom. You are able to serve your clients and customers the way you want to charge what you want to deliver how you want to. All of that is up to you. But if you don't have a good mindset, for example, if you become judgmental or pessimistic or start forming an attitude about your clients and customers, it will come through in your delivery. It will come through in the results that you get for your clients and customers. And it'll also make you a very unhappy camper. So do whatever you need to do to make sure that your mindset is like your head's on straight, your mindset's a growth mindset, and you're always looking for opportunities to grow and expand. That's number 3. Number 4, which is very important. I mean, all these are really important. All 7, they really are, is relationships. Relationships is exactly how you're going to get business, sell business, create advocates for your work, and be able to go out into the world and present yourself in a way where you can actually serve others. For me, when I started my business, it was a relationship that I had from my former employer. Someone also worked there and they got laid off and they started their own consulting business, reached out to me because they knew me from working there. And they said, hey, Terry, I need a website, need a branding, need everything. I did a lot of work for Roy. He is a great person and a great client. And still to this day, I could pick up the phone and call, yo. And what I loved about that was so many of my initial, especially, clients came through relationships, if not all of them. There were very few, I would say less than 10% of my clients came to me not through a relationship. In other words, they found me online, say, oh, Terry, I like your stuff. Hey, can we have a talk? And I get on a consult call and then we'd agree to work together. But I can't emphasize that enough. Relationships is exactly how you're going to get business, get money, and continue to build your relationships, because the more people that are in your network, the more people can talk about you, refer you, and so on. So relationships are incredibly key and they are your gateway to success. Now, the next one is number 5, and that is invest. And that means it's not necessarily monetarily, like if you need to invest or get someone to invest in your business from a capital standpoint, that's a different thing. Like if you did want to do a franchise instead of like your own consultancy or coaching practice or what have you, it's something where, that's a whole different thing. That's not what I mean when I say invest. What I mean is you need to invest in yourself. And that comes in several different ways, okay? Investing in yourself is getting skilled up. So look at all the stuff going on with AI right now. I am spending a lot of time trying to understand, practice, use, create efficiencies for my customers by using AI in my business. I wasn't one of those like, it's just, I'll deal with it later kind of thing. I mean, this is here, it's now, it's happening so fast. And just trying to stay on top of it is daunting. It really is. It's a lot of work to stay on top of it. So when you look at investment in yourself. That is making sure that you have what you need to deliver competitively in the marketplace so you can be of value, right? So that's education, that's training, that's skills like in software. That is also getting someone to help you. Invest in an executive coach who can help you develop your business. Invest in like a marketing training program to learn how to do marketing to your particular audience. All of these things will help you be a better solopreneur, but you have to make an investment in yourself. Sometimes it costs money, sometimes you can get it for free. But ask around, find a good mentor, find someone that's carved the path ahead of you and learn from them. That'll save you a lot of aggravation. Plus, here's something that's like a sidebar to this investment step. Being a solopreneur can be very isolating and lonely. If you have someone that's a mentor, a business coach, or somebody that you can be part of a mastermind, for example, there's a lot of different ways to kind of create this supportive environment for yourself. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to feel that you have peer-to-peer support, that you're not alone, somebody you can bounce things off of, because we don't have objectivity of our own stuff. We need to hear it from someone else who's been there, done that. So I highly recommend getting some sort of support mechanism or multiple mechanisms in addition to doing any kind of training. Okay? 2 more. Speaking of training, the next one is learn. And I kind of covered this in the investment, but you have to constantly keep your skills sharp, not just in what you're doing, but also what's going on in your industry. How are things changing? How is the economy impacting your world, the things that you're doing? For example, right now the economy is putting a lot of pressure on big companies to save money. And where do they go first? They reduce their workforce. So there are many, many people coming into the workforce. For a while there, I think it was like right after COVID, the employee had all the power, meaning they could basically write their own ticket as far as salary. They could pick and choose their jobs. Companies were coming after. They were so hungry for good people. The other side of the coin is where we're at now, which is a very different economy where companies are like, we're on a budget, we've got too much fat, we got to trim the fat, and they're letting people go left and right. So there's many, many people out in the marketplace that could be solopreneurs that are looking for jobs. So it's much more competitive for the employee or the person looking for work than it was, let's say 2, 3, 4 years ago. So it's an employer controlled environment. They have the power now. When you look at learning is also about really understanding what's going on in the marketplace right now and where can you see opportunity and expand your business or target another niche that may be underserved. So there's a lot of ways you can enhance your skill set that's also enhancing your business offerings, which is pretty cool. So staying abreast of things, sign up for newsletters, read certain trade publications, follow people who are bloggers about your industry or a YouTube channel, listen to podcasts. There's a lot of different ways you can really keep those learnings and skill sets up. So that way, when you have conversations with prospects and even clients, you can bring additional levels of value, because if you're talking about things that are happening today and what are predictions, you can be much more powerful as a value to that particular client. Another thing that's kind of an aspect of learning regarding skill set is know thyself. And I think I did an episode on this. I can't remember. But one of the things that I've always really placed in high importance is understanding my personality, my predispositions, my temperament, my style, whether it's my human design, my Myers-Briggs, my Clifton Strengths Finder, my DISC profile, a lot of those things people do in corporate, my Enneagram. There are so many different types of assessments that you can do to gain greater insight into your own personality. So that way you're not bucking a current all the time. It's like, why do I always clash with these type of people? Or why can I never get motivated in the afternoon? Or why do I seem to always be attracting the wrong types of people when it comes to prospecting? Why do I resist marketing? I mean, that's my big thing because my human design is I'm a projector. And so I'm more about being a guide and helping people through inspiration and education and mentoring than I am someone who's like a practical doer, which is the irony is not lost on me because I build, I make, I write code, I build websites, I design things, I write copy. So I still do tactical delivery, which I really enjoy. So when you start looking at the blend of personality and style and work style that you have, that gives you great insight into yourself and how you interact with your clients, your colleagues, all the people that you do work with. You can come across a lot more professional when you have those insights, those tools at your disposal. One of my favorite ones is the 5 voices. That's a really interesting one because it's very simple and it's the style in which we communicate. I use that assessment with my clients because for me, I'm a nurturer creative. So a nurturer is like, is everybody in the room okay? Is everybody doing all right? And then creative is a person who speaks in the future. So I'm very much a visionary and projector of future, positivity and things like that. Plus I am a positive person. So there's so many different aspects that make up Terry Pappy. And knowing those things, having that insight into myself, my own psyche, enables me to be much more confident in how I talk to people. And I'm not like fighting myself all the time. I have these insights, this maturity that allows me to say, that's what I'm not good at, that's what I'm great at. I focus on either shoring up what I'm not great at, but understanding that I don't have to force myself to do things that aren't my natural way. That kind of piles into the whole learn thing, which is the 6th checkbox. The last one is, again, one of the more important ones, if not, they're all pretty important, is action. And get in action. Make sure that everything you do every day forwards your business, forwards your learning, forwards your investing in yourself, forwards your relationships, forwards your growth mindset, and forwards your passion. You got to have that passion involved. It's the only thing that's going to keep you going. And then, of course, that forwards a healthy financial picture. So if you look at this list of 7 items, we've got finances, number 1, number 2, passion, number 3, mindset, number 4, relationships, number 5, invest in yourself, and number 6 is learn, and number 7 is action. Always be in action. When you find yourself, and I'll leave you with this, okay? And the prompt is really this whole list for you to take this list and apply it to wherever you are in your business, even if you haven't started yet. See how you can kind of imagine using these things in your business. Take this list and just get in action about it. But what I would really recommend is when and this happens to me still to this day, every now and again, when I have maybe a lull or a kind of a break, at some point I'm just kind of like taking a breath or feeling overwhelmed, whatever. When I get a chance to get in my head too much, I'm a thinker. I'm very intellectual and just mental. I think a lot about things. I like the creativity of it. I like the energy of it. But sometimes my thoughts are not always the most positive / productive. Like I worry about things at times. I'll sit there and think, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And that's part of my temperament, right? That's kind of in my DNA as Terry Pappy. So knowing that, I know that I have to work extra hard to be aware of that, but also to learn how to soften it and deal with it. And the number one way I do that is by being in action. That action can be going for a walk, writing in my journal, actually talking to a client, going to do some prospecting, posting some things on social media. But the act of actually being in action, especially if it moves your business forward, okay, that is going to heal, correct, realign, get you on the right track, and you'll be feeling good. You won't go down that rabbit hole. And get all like wrapped around the axle around things that will probably never happen, right? So there you go. No matter where you are in your business, you could look at each of these and see how they fit, see how they're working in your business. And it's kind of like a nice business health check to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and that you're doing what you need to do to be a wonderfully happy and successful solopreneur. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt. If this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one. Bye.